cosplay, and we'll get started. I believe your slide is first.
Yes.
Introducing yourself.
Yes, so you may know me as Crafty on Ilum on all social media. That was systematic. So my page primarily focuses on cosplays, crafting, and conventions. My YouTube channel does vlogs on my cosplay builds. It provides the resources I use, so source similar cosplay, and then I also vlog all the conventions that I go to share that experience with other people. And then I also do Star Wars video games as like side, like fun, chill on Friday nights. And then I jumped into cosplay about 3 years ago, and I had no experience in terms of sewing, fabrics, or anything related to costume making. I just wanted to do it one day and just done it. So here we are. Yes.
Hi, so I am Lady of the Lake Country on primarily Instagram. I'm trying to expand. I am primarily a cosplayer, and I've done a handful of craftsmanship competitions. So my focus is more craftsmanship, making everything myself, patterning things myself, and I'm an educator through my background. So I currently teach for Makerspace, which I will explain later. And I'm moving into the idea of moving digital because I feel like it can help so many more people that way. But I started researching how to make the comment she appeared. She cemented my love for costumes in the best way. So I've been sewing for about 15 years. I got into cosplaying about 6 years ago. I say officially cosplaying because like when the prequels came out, I was hot gluing costumes together. Still public. And I came to my skills from like a really varied background, but we kind of cover that later, so I'll get back to that later also.
Yes. Okay, so just going back to like our origins, how we got started, what inspired us and continues to inspire us to cosplay. So for me, I had started my page first to do sketches of like fandom art, Star Wars, and I saw other creators doing rounds and cosplays, and I saw the self-expression and creativity in it, and this opportunity to continue to sell and improve and learn new things, and just continue to build on this hobby that yes can be time consuming, but is very, very fun. And not only that, with the characters that we cosplay, we have some sort of emotional connection to them, like we see ourselves in them, or we admire the traits or values that they stand for, so being able to embody that character is really inspiring with both of those. And then community for me is really important because I'm naturally an introvert, so getting myself out there to like make friends, build a community for my page, and other people to feel safe to be able to just kind of branch out and out of their comfort zones is something I like to see in cosplay and
yeah, that was me. The first time I went to a con and wore a costume con, and I was like, wait, there's other people who like to do this.
Yes,
there's other
outside
people who
of
like to like dress up all the time.
Yeah.
And so when people are asking me, well, why do you get out of conventions? Why do you go to conventions? I'm like, honestly, it's like the other creative, nerdy people there that see what I've made and they're like, oh my gosh, she made that. I'm like, but you made that. Yeah. And it's a good time. But same with like the connections to the characters, Padme was my happy place, and I believe that creativity brings joy in a really unique way. So I feel like cosplay is just a great outlet for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so diving into the cosplays. This is me. This is some of the cosplays that I've done so far. This is a mix of handmade and store-bought pieces. So for my Shmi one, that I just did recently, and it took me about a month and a half, and that's all made from scratch. I bought fabrics off of Amazon and Etsy, looked at lots of reference photos, and just kind of adapted as I went. I didn't really have a whole lot of reference photos, like even the Women of the Galaxy book has like one photo and no descriptions of the fabric. So this was very much just like my own creativity and what I think fit best for that costume. For my mixed one, I am wearing it right now, and it is a mix of Amazon products, so like my pouch, my boots, my pants, those are from Amazon, and everything else is just fabric that I kind of just put together to resemble her character, specifically the vest. And then Trilla, she is from the game Jedi Fallen Order. She is a Inquisitor. I if you haven't played the game. This is a mix of a store-bought, like they have Cost Guide or other cosplay sites that have like, kind of like, I don't want to say cheaper material, but it's just more like that polyester material. So the cape is originally from that purchase, and everything else I've kind of thrown together over the years, because I've been cosplaying her for about 2 years now. So my friend Jessica with her mom, because I have no experience with sewing, she helped me kind of learn patterns, like you can get templates to make jackets and capes and all that, and I didn't really know how to use those resources, and so she helped me do the jacket just recently. So just continue to build and improve this cosplay. The belts, the bracers, the shoulder pads, those are 3D printed. I don't have a 3D printer, but we'll touch on finding resources for the items that you need. But those are from Etsy, so there's a lot of stuff out there for the Star Wars characters that we love. And then of course there's Princess Leia, and that poncho is actually from the Disney store. And then I did the pants and stuff. The pants are actually thrifted, so thrift stores are also a really good resource, which again we'll touch on. But these are just some of the character-focused cosplays, because there's different variations of cosplays that you can do. So our first couple of slides are just about characters. Okay, and these are the sorry. Okay.
Yeah, giving an idea of the characters we focused on. As I already mentioned, I have mostly done Padme. I've done a lot of Padme cosplays. But I've also done Leia, and I just picked Leia for this particular con because my husband challenged me to. That's really what it came down to. Well, the ones that are up there, I've made all of them except for one. There was one that I just didn't have the time or interest in making, but I had purchased the cloak that goes over it. So I was like, I'm really interested in how this person makes things. So I ordered something from somebody else just because it's interesting. I wanted to see where I stacked up to somebody who makes things, because I don't make a lot of things for other people. So I was like, I'm really interested in how I stack up to other people that make things for other people. And I got it and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely can do this. But yeah, mostly Rebel, or I mean, mostly having a little bit later.
And all made from scratch, or which ones were sold?
They're all made from scratch.
All made from scratch.
There's the really bad mature Geonosis up in the corner. I bought the boots and the armbands.
Yeah.
But I made the small parts.
Yes.
Everything else is like
Amazing. Right. So moving on, because like I said, there's variations of cosplay. There are original characters and bounds. And what I enjoy most about cosplay is that there are different areas that you can apply your creativity in. So like for balance, it's very fashion-based. You take a reference photo of the character and you can go to a thrift store or on Amazon or Etsy or whatever it is and find similar looking items and to make up this character that has the same aesthetic or color scheme. And it doesn't have to be screen accurate. Cosplay doesn't have to be screen accurate, but balance specifically is more fashion-based. And so I like being Thank you. So I like being able to push myself out of my comfort zone, even with fashion, for stuff that I don't normally wear, because then I like find items and I'm like, oh, this is really cool to wear outside of fashion. And they're super cool. Specifically for the jumpsuit too, like that's something that I wear on a normal basis because it's really comfortable. And then original characters, you don't have to cosplay original characters or actual fandom characters. You can make your own. And I know that there are tons of stuff out there of people making their own like fan art of characters that they write fan fiction for and stuff like that.
I meant to put a picture in. I have a cosplay friend who made Senator Anakin, and we actually did a photo shoot together. So I don't know, I didn't think to put the picture in. I mean, he made a Senator Anakin, and this guy like hand beaded yards of silk. The attention he put into it and detail was just amazing. He competed at and won multiple things.
And that was fan art.
Yeah, just with his own big ideas.
Yeah. So just original ideas, original characters, those are also super fun to cosplay.
Which is that, like mine, the next slide has mine are more, I have more matches than bounds.
Yeah. you can showcase that.
Yeah, I really like mounting. I just don't have any pictures of myself. I actually minus with dark hair.
Yeah.
So I have done a lot of combination things. So if you saw me yesterday, I was in Lady of the Lake country where I had never thought to make a mash of my actual Instagram handle until this summer. But I made that Instagram handle because I love King Arthur and I also obviously love Star Wars. And I thought, oh, Lady of the Lake country because the Lake country Naboo. So my medieval pad knife I had on yesterday was my Lady of the Lake country. But I've also done a mash of Padme and Belle and a zombie Padme because I was going to take a picture with the Christians right before Halloween and it just seemed appropriate to just be dead Padme. So I mean, and I have like my more casual versions of the picnic too that I was doing for fashion.
I love the dapper.
And my dapper, yes, that was, so I'm a swing dancer, and when I got back into swing dancing, that was my, just like happy project. I wanted to, I love throwing together two things that you, like why choose, right? Why choose two things that you love? I love swing dancing and Star Wars, I will make a swing dancing Star Wars outfit. I love Beauty and the Beast and Star Wars, why choose? I'm gonna make a giant bell dress that is also a Padme gown.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm very much a why choose person. We can just make it all happen.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing about cosplay.
Yeah,
That you can
yeah.
combine tons of stuff.
Seeing the unique ideas that people come up with.
Yes.
It's always fun.
So again, touching on the variations in cosplay, you can cosplay any character that you love and admire. So I love Count Dooku, and I decided to do a gender-bending Dooku. And then on the side, it doesn't matter if your cosplay is store-bought or handmade. All of these items are bought from Amazon or just were in my closet, and I threw them together to make this original Sithy character that I wanted to wear to like Galaxy's Edge or take photos with friends or whatever it is, have lightsaber battles, do little mini films or whatever. So you can cosplay anyone and every cosplay is incredible cosplay.
Well, I feel like we didn't really put anything about this, but this tends to be a big topic of conversation in the cosplay community that you don't have to look like the character you want to cosplay. Like, it doesn't matter what you physically look like. There are tributes to these characters that inspire people and that we enjoy. And it really, I love seeing full spectrum. It doesn't matter if you're the same age. It doesn't matter if you look physically like them. Like, have fun with cosplay some students.
Definitely not Christopher Lee, but
Right, you really don't look like somebody. That's what I think.
okay. So all of yours.
Oh, yeah. So I tried to do a variety because this is another thing that turns into kind of topic of conversation of what is cosplay. I mean, not just bounds versus recreations, but there is this entire spectrum of the nod to the character in bounding, or Halloween costume type mass-produced costumes that you can get at Walmart or the Disney store or whatever. You can purchase costumes that other people make that are going to be more accurate. So the blue Halloween stuff was my purchase one. I was like, stuff like that.
Yeah. Because it's time consuming.
It's time consuming, and I have like 8 projects that I still need to finish. And then the Anakin that I'm cooking is a purchased and modified, so, oh, now I'm forgetting the name of it. It's like a Chinese company, cosplay, anyway, there's a few different sites where you can purchase more cosplay level, less Halloween, more cosplay level, and some of them will even do them to your measurement. So like I ordered, I think because I can tailor things, I wound up just ordering the size that I felt I could tailor down from. But we needed something last minute, and I did not have time to make both of the costumes in 1 month. So I prioritized time because I knew it would get worn a lot more, and he didn't care. And we purchased and modified the Anakin so that he had something to wear. And then, like when you first start making things, when you first start crafting, don't expect to be good. That is my hot blue parade costume as a kid. When I asked my mother if I could make a costume, that I told her I really wanted a costume for Phantom Menace, and she was like, yeah, sure, that's nice. And I don't think she thought I was serious at first, but I was like, well, can I work on it? She's like, well, yeah, sure, here's where my fabric is. So I went and I dug through her fabric, I cut out all the petals and I painted them, and then I hot glued everything together because I didn't know how to use a sewing machine, and she helped me with the next one.
You have to start somewhere.
But yeah, you've got to start somewhere. That was like the beginning of my journey. And then there's, sometimes you don't buy all of the pieces, and sometimes you are going for a full handmade replica.
Right.
And all of these things. Yeah, like all of these things, this was the other slide I meant to put in. All of these things depend on three things. How much are you willing to spend? How much time are you willing to put into it? How accurate do you want it to be? You can have two, but not all three. It's never going to happen. It's a Venn diagram. That middle area doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we have a slide. Okay, so getting into like, how do you start? Where do you start? Because it is overwhelming, and there are a lot of resources out there, and so you're probably already doing it. Like if you have thought about, like, that'd be really fun to do, you probably have already saved posts from creators that you love to see, or photos that you've seen on like Pinterest or Google or whatever it is. You have those in your phone, and so you pick a character that you gravitate towards, and you just do it. Get obsessed actively and passively. So once you identify the character that you want to cosplay, then you're like, all right, where can I get the fabrics or whatever resources? How do I get started? And there are a ton of YouTube videos out there, like tutorials. There are forums. If you see other cosplayers and you're like, oh, I want to do a cosplay similar to that person's, reach out to them and say like, hey, do you have any templates or any advice, or like, are there any specific stores that you went to for these particular items? But you're probably already doing it just naturally. Like, you're just sitting at home and you're doing scrolling, you probably already have this saved.
Well, and along with like the social media aspect of things, there are, particularly on Facebook, there are whole groups devoted to specific, especially Star Wars characters.
Yes.
So there is a very active female developer group. There is a very active male group. Like there are all these groups, and people share resources all the time, and it's a great place to go and ask, like, hey, I'm interested in starting this. What would it take? What advice do you have? Sometimes you'll get, sorry, you can't buy that anywhere. If you're not willing to learn to embroider for 600 hours, it's not happening.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle.
All right, so just gathering materials. So we're going to touch on like where you can go to find certain things. So Amazon, Etsy, Mine Goals, for Rip Joann's, that has closed down, so now we have to just focus on online stores. Walmart, if you have local fabric stores and thrift stores, like, I think something that's fun is going to thrift stores and finding like old blankets, because it might be the material that you need. Yeah, tablecloths, curtains, hand
They use
napkins.
curtains in the new Vogue.
Yeah, exactly. You can find the fabric, whatever you need, pretty much everywhere, if you just be innovative about it. And then also, if you're looking to do like screen accurate cosplays, you can also look up like the Revelation or like final dress requirements, and it specifies like what color does the top need to be, or like what kind of boots do you need to have, or whatever other items.
Yeah, the legions can be really great resources because they have put so much time into researching and everything.
Yeah.
That said, I found mistakes on them before.
Oh, yeah. Always remember.
There's always a improvement, but they are, like, if you're really looking to get something, they're so wonderful resource. And if you're looking to get involved with like charity work, they are also around charity work. And such a great way to be involved in that.
Another form of community with cosplay.
Yes.
I did have a quick tip for Amazon or Etsy. There is a feature on there, so for me, I don't know the names of fabrics, like, there's like bubble fabric, silk or rayon or whatever texture I need. I'm not familiar with those terms because I'm just starting. So what I like to do is I take a photo or a screenshot of the character that I'm cosplaying, zoom up on the item, and then I'll upload it to Amazon, and it'll filter certain products that are similar to the fabric of the image that I uploaded, and it helps narrow it down for me because it gives me the name of the fabric that I need, so I know where to start because I don't know anything. So this is where we start. And then the next one is making templates / mock items. This is when you actually start building the cosplay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the queen of mock-ups.
Yeah.
So I mean, having a plan is really like
Yes.
the big thing when you're going into something, especially if you are trying to hand make it. Having a plan, and even if you're not trying to hand make the whole thing, like one of the things that I will send you. So not Star Wars related, but earlier in the summer, my husband looked at me and was like, "Well, I think you should be boys 1960s Batman and Robin, and you have to be Catwoman and Joker." And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be really cute." He was talking about her comedy next week. I know. That was awesome.
The audacity.
And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So the first thing I did was I sat down and I was like, "How much can I buy?" Because I can't make 4 costumes no matter how much sleep I give up. So I sat down with like, what do I have to make? What can I buy? What can get here as a Jeff Bezos special in the next week? And like, how can I pull this off? And so I made my plan, and then from there, like, I had my reference photos that I picked up. I made my plan from there, like, this is a list of what I'm ordering today, like, this is what I need to have handmade in the next week. And then there's lots of ways to do mock-ups. Knowing your own measurements is super duper important. If you don't know how to take those, talk to me, message me, or look up a video. Having a friend that knows how to help you with that is invaluable. Then you can start with commercial patterns, find something that is close to it, use that, modify that. You can make up, especially depending on how simple it is, you can make your own pattern. You can start with just like kind of pinning things together and figuring out where it
Saran wrap.
Saran wrap if you're doing a corset or something like that.
Yeah.
You saran wrap and then you put duct tape over it, you draw the lines and you cut the lines. And you need those to be flat because you're cutting flat fabric. So if you don't have something that's flat, then look up videos because there's lots of people that have done tutorials on this. Then you figure out where to add seams and things to make it lay flat to be cut out, and then you get your shape by sewing those back together. But you want to make sure that you keep your plan. You're keeping those patterns as you're going along, and not just like, okay, well that doesn't work, I'm gonna start this, because then the next thing you try something else doesn't work.
Yeah.
You want to go back to the other one.
Always keep your patterns.
So yeah, keep your patterns and label them. Label them with what they are,
Like
what
that
costume,
shoulder.
what part, and like what day.
Yes. Yeah, so some of the ways that I've done it, because I'm starting brand new to this, is that I use saran wrap, or I will use excess fabric, and if you don't have a mannequin, I try to like go on OfferUp to find like a cheaper one, because it is really helpful to have a mannequin to be able to hold up your fabric, because it's a little difficult if you're just like
You can look up making a duct tape.
that too.
You're really committed.
Yeah, that too.
Speaking of sort of wrapping yourself in saran wrap and duct tape, you can make one. And to be perfectly honest, having a mannequin is better than no mannequin at all. But it is a huge step up to have something that is actually shaped with
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, and just writing down your measurements and writing down, like, if you use excess fabric and you make like a mock vest or a mock shirt, write down the references in terms of like the measurement where you were sewing it, so that way you know when you actually cut the fabric that you're supposed to use, you know where it's supposed to line up with the seams and fits more exact. Because I didn't do that. I did this vest and it's a little off. So just remember to write down your measurements for some placements. And then the last is just having patience with yourself, having grace with yourself, because we're all going to fail. Your first one isn't going to be the best cosplay you've ever made. It's a learning process.
Also, sometimes you're going to be cutting a line and forgot that you have the fashion fabric underneath, and you're going to cut straight across the front of your dress and look at it and go, I don't have any more fabric to cut out. And sometimes you're going to problem solve right in the middle of sew a seam where you've seen before, but it works out. It still makes it worse.
Mistakes were made.
Ask me how I know. Yeah,
We're carrying. Okay, so the next one is how you start acquiring new skills. I'm going to let you take the reins on this one because you have so much experience on that.
Which partially just means that I have acquired my skills from so many different places.
Yes.
So there are tons of tutorials online. I mean, I a lot of people start. And the only thing I would say about that is kind of vet your tutorials a little bit, kind of research who you are trying to learn from, because some people have more experience than others, some people have better pedagogical skills than others. But there are tons and tons of resources online for people that will show you how to do things, how to acquire sewing skills, how to acquire 3D printing skills. And if you can get involved in person with any kind of group that also does these things and learns how to make things, that is another aspect of the costume legions of the Bible-Verse and Revelation and such, that it is an invaluable resource. She has practicing on there because you're always going to get better. Just do it and start practicing. So I am an interesting combination. Within the cosplay world, it is kind of, there's a lot of industry people that are involved now, where a lot of the people with the higher awards are people that work in the theater industry and create these things all the time and create at very high levels. And then there's a ton of us that is not the case, and like they have graduated the University of YouTube, and like I mean, you can pretty much get a degree in the University of YouTube, and so they have acquired all their skills that way. I'm a weird combination of during one of my graduate degrees, where I was just really done with being a fluid performer, I started auditing clothing construction classes and costuming classes over the costume things like that in my high school professors, and they're like, oh, you want to be a class teacher? So I picked up like some good skills there, and then I practiced for like 10 years. And then I was back to trying, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make like higher level stuff. And so I found a local sewing shop that offers, so lots of local places will offer classes and things like that. So I found somewhere that offered classes and lessons, and I went and worked with a friend that I had made there, and she was like, I've decided you're gonna work here. 2 months later, I was working there because they had a tailoring and alterations department. So I learned tailoring and alterations, working part-time at this place, and I picked up higher level skills that way. The lady that owned it had done costumes on Broadway. So like, there's just all these different places that you can pick things up. And then the last one I would say is I'm now teaching at a makerspace. If you don't know what a makerspace is, and you have access to one in your area, check it out. Makerspaces are you typically pay a membership fee, but then you're a member and you have access to equipment that you don't necessarily want to have to own and figure out on your own. And the best thing about a makerspace is not even so much the equipment as it is the community that comes with it that knows how to use that equipment. So if anybody saw me in my Liberty Dies Padme earlier, the big purple one, I joined a makerspace before I made that one. I would have never been able to do it without a makerspace because I laser cut the velvet that's on the skirt and applied it. So makerspaces oftentimes will have things like laser cutters, quilting reels, embroidery machines, resin printers, 3D printers, depending on how big the makerspace is. I live in the DC area and the one is huge, so they have like a blacksmithing shop. I haven't got there yet. But they are incredible because within that you then have people that specialize in all these areas. And so if you want to learn how to do it yourself, or you can learn to like trade skills. Like, hey, I'm not actually interested in learning blacksmith, but like, I'll sew this for you. Blacksmith. Also, 10 things for you to do a blacksmith me one time thing. But they are incredible resources, and like ours offers classes and lessons and everything. So right now I'm an educator at the makerspace, and a lot of libraries now will even have small makerspaces that have like a Cricut and an embroidery machine and a 3D printer. I read recently that 65% of the libraries now across the US have 3D printers. Your public library might have a 3D printer and you're not even aware of it. Universities, if you live near a university, they're a really great resource in terms of like clubs or makerspaces or things that they might have that may or may not be open to the general population of community members, but it's always worth checking out.
I was wondering when you told me that libraries have a I was like, oh.
I know, the look on your face was great.
I said, that's so helpful. Goodness. Okay, so going on to challenges and motivations, which we kind of touched on, it is a long process making cosplays depending on like how detailed you want to get with it. And so it can be really time consuming. And I have trouble staying focused. Like I'll get really hyper focused on something and then I'll put it away and then I never look end. And it's like having time frames that I need to finish something by has been really helpful for me. But also comparing yourselves to others, because if you're first starting and you're looking at all these really extravagant costumes, like Pac-Man and all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, like I don't know if I could do that. You can't. It just takes time. And so stop comparing yourselves to others because they all started somewhere. And then losing the passion for crafting, like I said, I get kind of fixated, and then I'm just like, oh, it's all like a couple weeks later. But it ebbs and flows just like all of our hobbies. So just stay consistent with yourself, give yourself grace, and patience is what I have to do for myself. And then having a nice group of supporters. So this is not limited to, but these are some of the people that support me and inspire me to continue to create and express myself through cosplay. So just focusing on that. It's not something that you have to do. This is something that should be bringing you happiness and joy, and something that is a hobby to kind of stress relief from your day, whatever that day looks like if you're having a bad day. And then whatever makes you feel most confident, doing characters or cosplays that you feel most confident in. And yeah, just remembering it's supposed to be fun and having a community and friendships with other people. So just take time and space away if you get overwhelmed or frustrated, come back to it. Just remember it's just supposed to be for fun.
Along with like the staying motivated, like having deadlines, and honestly that is one of the reasons that I compete, because there are some things that I would literally never finish if I did not have.
Exactly.
Like if I had not committed, the Liberty Dice got finished because I was like, I'm doing it, I'm putting it in. It's only like, I'm gonna make it look like it's 70% done.
Yeah.
And the competition was less than a month later,
Nice.
and like, okay, we're done, we're getting it done. But like, yeah, things don't always go as planned, and sometimes like you hit snag after snag, and like, really should I be done with more money and doing stuff? But I find so I find that for me, like hacking the dopamine cycle of like, you know, getting something that I'm new and excited about. If I cycle it just right, then I can cycle between my projects and always stay working on something. And for me, that works. So I may like take longer to finish something, but eventually, hopefully, like I get everything done because I'm still working every day instead of throwing my hands up and not doing anything for 2 months and then coming back and being like, well, I probably could have got it done by now. But that and doing it for myself. The other thing for me about competing is I've been very careful about letting myself compete, because having come from like this music performance background where I was forced to do a ton of competing, it killed music in a lot of ways for me. And I've been very determined to not let that happen for cosplay and Star Wars especially. So I'm a little bit picky about it, and I tell people but I also do it to kind of like get over the anxiety that I still have about getting up on stage sometimes. So yeah, like it pushes me at the same time.
Okay. Oops. So any questions?
Hey, we only have 10 minutes left. We're going to skip straight questions if we have to.
Yes, yes. If you have any questions, we are happy to answer this for you guys to ask any questions you may have had before or after.
Cosplay in general, anything that we've done,
Yeah.
are, buckets of wisdom.
Yes, so much. Yes.
So, this is a question on commissions. Like, do you guys suggest it, or, and I guess the deeper question is, how do you keep it fun, where it's a labor of love and not like, oh,
Oh, like if we do commissions
yeah,
for somebody else?
Yeah.
I am picky about doing commissions. I have done very few because of that. My time has been very limited. I have like 2 younger, intense boys. So I'm just now getting to the point where like I've made more cosplays this year because I've managed to cram in a time that like they're finally getting old enough that I'm not worried about them dying constantly. Most of the time. So I haven't done that many for other people, but I feel like for me, I won't say yes unless like I want to do it. I mean, there's pros and cons to it that way. I don't have any time to commissions.
I have not branched out into commission. We are still learning, but we will get there. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you do any other cosplay besides Star Wars, like Renaissance festivals, Viking Fest, that sort of thing? If so, any in Texas?
In Texas. I mean, not since I grew up in Texas, so like years and years ago. But I am planning to take Lady of the Lake Country to the Maryland Renaissance Fair because why not?
Oh, yeah.
Because now I have a medieval tattoo. I have some other I'm trying to think what they are because I haven't worn them as much, but I just do Catwoman with my family, and I have others on my list, I just haven't gotten to them.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly Star Wars. If there's like a little family event or friends event, do something outside of Star Wars, I'll do something probably like around, but I don't do much outside of like Star Wars focused things like this convention. Any other questions? Yes.
If you could go back in time and know something from the beginning, what would that knowledge be?
That is such a good question. That's funny because that was one I thought about putting in. I think the one thing that I would tell myself is to start making, like stop being so afraid and to just start making and to like let it be crappy if it's crappy.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just do it, just make it and stop. And to like make more, I'm horribly perfectionistic. I mean, I don't know if you want to go to the one where like the one where, because we did slides on ones that have taken us the longest. I think it's like the longest build one, so it's like the third to last one. This one.
We're just going to go through, pretend you didn't see the slides.
Yeah.
So great.
There we go.
So the linen dress with the buns over cloak. I have been working on that for going on a decade because like my perfectionism is horrible. But I made a version, my mom and I made a version when I was younger, and for some reason I have been very determined to remake it perfectly. I made 13 mock-ups of that dress because I needed to have the seam lines right, and because the dress is so dark and there's not good references. So I can tell you.
In your defense, you were copying Trisha.
Exactly. Also, like, they literally made their own textiles for things. Like, she went and recruited people in Paris, like young students in Paris at a textile exhibit, and was like, hey, come and make textiles for us. And then they cut up antique bedspreads. So, like, you can't just.
How did you do that?
Yeah, so you can't just, like.
Long story short,
You can't just run. Yeah. So, yeah, I would tell myself to just get started and start making stuff and redo it later if you have to. It's fine.
Well, I ironically don't like YouTube videos like tutorials. I have trouble staying focused on them. So if I were to go back, I'd say just like put them on in the background. So if like I'm doing a chore or something, it's just on the background. So I'm like subconsciously absorbing the information. So if you are interested, just like you're passively already saving posts of other content creators or pieces of inspiration, you do YouTube videos because that would be very beneficial and helpful for you in the future. Anything else? Which one do you want to start?
Well, you show me your gone. Like, they now see my slide of longest builds, which, like, I didn't pick one thing because it's a complicated question.
Yes. Please.
That's great. So, go to your longest build.
So my longest build was Shmi, and this is the very first screen accurate cosplay that I've ever made. All the other ones are a little off. Even my trailer one is still a work in progress. But this one took me about a month and a half, 100% made from scratch, except for the wheels, 1%. It took me a month and a half and it's most accurate. Something that I struggled with specifically was the colors of the fabric. I was working on that for like 3 weeks straight on and off because it just wasn't matching. So another thing to consider in cosplay is that the lighting in the shots, like specifically the Tatooine lighting, it looks like different shades of greens and browns, and so just be aware that your goal should be a mix of it. It doesn't have to match exactly one shot because of the tones that they use. So that's why it took me so long. It probably would have taken me a lot quicker if I didn't spend 3 weeks dyeing fabrics. My kitchen was a mess. But
Don't
yeah.
be afraid of dying, guys. It's great.
Yes. Super.
Don't be afraid of that.
I'm so glad you caught that.
But yeah, that was my longest build, and that was just done recently, which I will be wearing her tomorrow. So if you see me, come see that.
It's gonna take the hardest one.
The hardest builds.
I think they're ready for this.
Yes.
Okay, so I put Liberty Dies as my hardest because typically I like to do what I know a lot of cosplayers do this where like I'm gonna tackle one new skill every time I build a cosplay.
Yes.
This one I was like, hey, what if I tackle like 10 new skills? Because I just joined the makerspace, so I was so motivated. So with this one I was like, hey, I've never dyed silk before, so sure, I'll try that. That's not a problem. I can do that. And I hadn't really hand pleated. That wasn't really all that big a deal. That I could figure that out, no problem. But I decided I would like try to learn CAD modeling and resin printing and laser cutting and silk screen printing and photo motion and discharge ink and bleach stamping, and I also velvet covered my flat belt seams. And all of that was, yeah, there was a lot of cursing under my breath for 6 months in my house.
Yeah.
If not under my breath. So yeah, that was definitely, that was my hardest skill to date. I think that I'm sure I spent close to a couple hundred hours just like trying to figure out CAD software.
Time management is important.
Time management is super important, yeah.
Okay, so for my hardest cosplay, it was my biggest one, and that was my first time working with faux leather. So my bracers, like her sleeves, are faux leather, and it took me quite some time to figure out how I could sew through the fabric because it is very thick. And this was kind of like the first time that I was like, okay, I want to make it as screen accurate as I can with the knowledge that I have, because I've never attempted to before. So working with the faux leather was really difficult for me. And also, I like to cosplay characters that aren't really mainstream, that you don't really see. So for Vix, there was a handful of screen grabs for her, so I had very little reference until like later on there was more screen grabs for her.
It's like, we're
Yeah, they were a show, they were a character, it's not one of the resources out there.
Michael Wilkins had just posted pictures
I
of
know.
like right after I finished this.
Yeah, oh my
I
god!
was
Yes, so doing these types of characters can be a little challenging in that aspect because there's very little reference for it. But I still have fun, and we're here. We're wearing it, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Any other last questions? No, yeah.
If there's like a certain piece, like a hand piece or something, you just can't find a good enough photo, how do you troubleshoot?
That's actually a really good question.
What was the question?
So the question was, if there's like a little piece, like a hand piece or something that there's just no good photo, like nobody knows what it looks like, how do you troubleshoot that? So my solution, so for instance, I'm remaking my parade gown, right? There is embroidery on the shoes of the parade gown, so the parade gown being the Phantom Menace with the big petals. There's embroidery on those shoes. Nobody knows what it looks like. So what I did was I went in and I took like some of the emblems of the other parts of the costume and turned it into an embroidery file because I was like, this match, like you go with like what looks like it would look natural with it, yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think for Vix, because Vix was the most challenging. There was a good amount for her, she actually wasn't the most, I could see like a good amount. I know that there's this site, and if you want it, I can go ahead and find it in my messages, but there's this site where it goes scene by scene of Star Wars. Is it screen caps? Screen caps is really good, yeah, because again, it's the scene by scene, so you can kind of zoom in and kind of make shift whatever.
Also, if you want to know how to screen cap things for directions.
Yes. But yeah, screen caps is a really good resource for that, even if it's just like a general outline.
What?
Was there like TV show and movies?
Oh, yeah, yeah, they have
It's
like,
like-
they have Clone Wars. I've done 2 Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
I yeah, my yellow Clone Wars, that like nobody's built that. I don't know anybody else's.
Yeah.
We had to dive into the screen caps for that one.
Any other questions? Yes.
Money and time not being an issue, what is your ultimate cosplay outfit you want to
Or your
wear?
next, or your next.
He said like money and time not being an issue, like what's your ultimate one?
Anything that involves armor, so like a snowtrooper or a sandtrooper, like any of those that are just full armor.
Like I don't see myself ever getting around to it because of the time, but like throne room or like the big Mongolian Amidala.
Yeah.
I think they're just like huge time suckers.
Any other?
What about leather?
Well,
Generalized question, what about leather? Do you all?
Leatherwork?
Yes, second part of third part.
So that's something that they teach at our makerspace. Yeah, so like, I have not done any yet, but there are definitely lots of people that do like commissions and you can get stuff that way. So, yeah, I think we're out of time. That's a good question.
okay, well, these are our socials, so if you want
If you have any other questions, yeah, definitely
ask us questions, then
hit us up with some questions.